Moonlight spilled over the dense forest, painting silver streaks across the gnarled oaks and whispering pines. The pack had gathered in a clearing, their fur glinting under the ethereal glow of the full moon. Tonight was no ordinary night. It was the annual gathering where the Alpha King announced his next mate. A declaration that would ripple through the pack like thunder. Selene stood at the edge of the circle, her amber eyes steady and composed. She had loved him silently, the Alpha King, Kale, for months. Yet she had never begged, never pleaded, never let her heart unravel in front of the pack. She knew her place and had accepted the truth even before it was spoken. Kale stepped forward, tall and imposing, his black fur shimmering, eyes piercing the night. He scanned the gathering, a silent storm brewing in his gaze. When his eyes met Selene's, the air between them seemed to thicken. He spoke her name, and every head in the pack turned, hearts beating with anticipation. "Selene," Kale said, his voice low but commanding, "I cannot choose you as my mate." A gasp rippled through the pack. Some wolves whispered in disbelief, others stared at her, expecting an outburst of tears or desperation. But Selene's face remained calm, her lips curving in the faintest hint of a smile. "I understand," she said softly, bowing her head. Her voice carried the weight of someone who had loved deeply, but refused to surrender her dignity. The pack fell silent. The forest itself seemed to hold its breath. No wolf dared move, their instincts sensing the tension that crackled like lightning between them. Kale's jaw tightened, his pride, his power, and the deep-seated hunger in his soul all collided in an instant. How could someone accept his rejection with such grace? How could Selene, his Selene, stand before him untouched by despair? Then, without warning, he snapped. A growl erupted from his chest, shaking the clearing, and his fur bristled as he transformed. Muscles rippling beneath obsidian fur. The pack instinctively backed away, eyes wide, jaws clenched. Selene did not flinch. Instead, she stepped closer, her calmness only intensifying the storm radiating from Kale. "Kale," she whispered, almost a plea, yet carrying a strange confidence. His yellow eyes burned into hers. The air around them vibrated with raw energy, anger, desire, power, and the unspoken bond that had always tied them together. Every wolf in the pack could feel it. Even the elders who had witnessed decades of alpha reigns sensed the shift. The moment the rules of the pack could change forever. Kale's growl softened, replaced by a tension, filled silence. He inhaled sharply, nostrils flaring, the smell of Selene mixing with the wild forest air, sending a pulse straight to the core of him. The Alpha King, feared and untouchable, was suddenly unsettled. Selene tilted her head slightly, unwavering, showing no fear. She had faced rejection once, and she would not bow to anger now. But deep inside, her heart raced with the dangerous thrill of standing toe-to-toe. Oh, with the wolf who had always haunted her dreams. The pack waited, the moon waited. Even the wind seemed to hush its whispers, leaving only the heavy tension and the silent question, what would the Alpha King do next? And in that frozen moment, it became clear tonight, the rules of the pack, and perhaps the fate of their hearts, were about to be rewritten. Kale's growl still hung in the air, low and dangerous, vibrating through the clearing. The pack stayed frozen, instincts screaming at them to back away, yet mesmerized by the raw energy radiating from their alpha. Every wolf knew, never had they seen him unsettled like this. Selene's amber eyes met his steady and unwavering, a mirror to the storm that raged inside him. She had expected anger, yes, but not this. Not the feral, bone-deep hunger that now ignited behind his golden gaze. "Selene," Kale's voice was hoarse, raw, each syllable dripping with the tension of restrained power. You shouldn't have come tonight. I didn't come for your choice," she replied, her voice calm yet carrying an undercurrent of defiance. "I came for myself. I have nothing to prove to you, or anyone." His fangs glinted in the moonlight as he let out another low growl, pacing around her, muscles rippling beneath obsidian fur. The scent of him, dangerous, magnetic, untamed, swirled around her, tugging at something primal within. Every instinct screamed for her to flee, yet she remained, rooted by courage, by stubborn pride, and an undeniable pull toward him. The pack murmured among themselves, whispers lost in the wind. No wolf had ever dared defy the Alpha King without fear, and yet here she stood untouched by terror, unbroken. Cale stopped abruptly, his massive frame looming over her, the air between them sizzled. He inhaled sharply, nostrils flaring, catching her scent. The scent of resilience, of fire, of a wolf who had refused to bow. His growl shifted, low and rumbling in his chest, a dangerous mixture of frustration and something darker, something that set his heart racing despite himself. "You frustrate me," he admitted, voice low, almost a whisper meant only for her. I've never felt this way." Seleni's lips curved into the faintest smile, her heart beating wildly, yet her exterior remained composed. "Then maybe it's time you felt something you can't control." Cale's ears twitched, a subtle sign of the battle raging within him. He had never been denied, not truly, and certainly never with such grace. His wolf's instincts snarled for her, demanded her, yet his human mind struggled against the pull. Without warning, the ground beneath them trembled as Cale's wolf form shifted into full dominance. He towered over her, power radiating in waves, yet she did not flinch. She met him, unwavering like the calm at the center of a hurricane. Then the unthinkable happened. The Alpha King's restraint snapped. In one fluid motion, he pressed close, forcing her to step back, and for the first time, the pack saw a side of him no one had witnessed. Vulnerable, desperate, and dangerously enthralled by her presence. "Why do you stand so fearlessly?" he demanded, voice shaking with an emotion that was almost longing. "Because I am not afraid of you," Selene whispered. "I am only afraid of losing myself by begging for what I cannot have." The words hit him like a lightning strike. Every muscle in Cale's body tensed, his wolf growling low in his chest, a rumble that resonated with the pack's collective fear. Yet his eyes softened, and for a fleeting second, the Alpha King seemed torn between two worlds, the monster of the pack and the man who had long been captivated by her fire. The tension between them was electric, a magnetic pull neither could resist. The pack watched, silent and awestruck, as the Alpha King and the silent wolf who had dared defy him circled each other, two forces destined to collide. And as the moon climbed higher, the forest seemed to hold its breath once more. Tonight, Selene had faced rejection and emerged unbroken. But Cale had finally met a challenge his wolf could not ignore. The moon bathed the clearing in silver light, turning every shadow into a living entity. Cale's wolf form towered over Selene, yet despite his imposing presence, he could feel her heartbeat steady against his own. A defiance that both frustrated and fascinated him. Pack had retreated to the edges of the forest, giving them space, but their eyes never left the scene. Even the elders, wise with decades of wolf lore, sensed the undeniable shift in the Alpha King's demeanor. Something primal, dangerous, and deeply intimate was about to unfold. Cale's wolf growled low in his chest, a warning and a plea all at once. "Selene," he rasped, voice trembling with tension, "do you have any idea what you've done to me?" Selene lifted her chin, amber eyes unflinching, meeting his gaze. "I know exactly what I've done," she said softly. "I've refused to break, and now it's your choice whether you let this tension consume you or let it guide you." His wolf instincts surged. He could smell the courage in her, the steady pulse of her heart, the fire in her veins. Every fiber of him demanded her, and yet his human mind wrestled with the proper path, the Alpha's control, the rules he had never broken. Then, without warning, Cale lunged not violently, but with the force of his desire. His massive paws pinned her gently against a tree, yet his proximity ignited a heat she had never imagined. Her breath hitched not from fear, but from the overwhelming pull of his presence. "You do not fear me," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. You should be terrified. I am not," Selene replied, her lips trembling ever so slightly, betraying the storm inside her. "I only fear losing myself by begging for what I cannot control." Cale's growl softened into a rumble, a vibration that resonated deep within her chest. He lowered his massive wolf muzzle, brushing it against her cheek. Not aggressively, but with a tender intensity that left her trembling. For the first time, Selene realized that the Alpha King's power wasn't just in his bite or strength. It was in his restraint, his control, and the storm of emotions he contained. And then, as if the universe itself conspired, Kale shifted back into his human form. The transformation was fluid, almost cinematic, and when he stood before her as a man, every inch of him radiated danger, dominance, and an undeniable allure. Selene's eyes widened as she took in the sight the Alpha King, vulnerable and magnetic, standing mere inches from her. The forest around them seemed to blur, the pack's whispers fading into nothing. It was just them, two wolves bound by fate, tension, and unspoken desire. Kale reached out, brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. His thumb lingered against her cheek, tracing the line of her jaw, sending shivers down her spine. "Why do you make me feel this way?" he asked, voice low, almost a growl. "Because you never let anyone see your heart," Selene replied, voice trembling slightly. "You hide behind your power, your pride, but I see you, Kale. I've always seen you." For a moment, time itself froze. Kale's golden eyes softened, a flicker of vulnerability breaking through the Alpha's stoic facade. Then, with a force that startled even him, he pressed his lips to hers. It was not gentle, but it was not harsh. It was a spark, a claim, a promise all at once. Selene gasped, her hands moving to his chest, feeling the powerful rhythm of his heart beneath her palms. The kiss deepened, the tension between them igniting into something fierce and consuming. Their wolves, silent but present, stirred within them, echoing the intensity of the moment. The forest seemed to shudder. Even the moon paused in its ascent, witnessing the Alpha King and the wolf who had dared to refuse him, finally collide in a storm of desire, respect, and undeniable connection. And as they pulled back, breathless, Kale's eyes never left hers. "You are unlike anyone I've ever known," he murmured. "And now I cannot let you go." Selene smiled, a mixture of relief, pride, and longing in her amber gaze. "Then maybe you shouldn't," she whispered. The pack watched in awe and fear from the shadows, knowing that tonight nothing would ever be the same. The Alpha King had met his match, and the quiet wolf who refused to beg had rewritten the rules of their hearts and of the pack forever.